Join us as we uncover the hidden truths and rarely spoken secrets of Amish life and wedding nights. Amish wedding nights. The wedding night for the Amish is not only about following traditions, it also involves practical aspects. Since there are usually many guests at Amish weddings, it's often easier for the couple to stay at the bride's parents' house. This way, they can assist with cleaning up after the wedding and getting ready for the celebrations the next day. Even though the level of intimacy might not be the same as in contemporary wedding nights, the Amish wedding night is still a meaningful time for the couple. It provides them with a moment to think about their vows and the commitment they've made to one another. It's also a time to bond with their family and friends and to celebrate their new life as a married couple. It's essential to understand that Amish communities are diverse and wedding night customs can vary. Some couples may enjoy more privacy than others, depending on their family's living situation and cultural practices. Nevertheless, the core values of community, simplicity, and faith are always present. Amish wedding night traditions provide an interesting look into a culture that prioritizes simplicity, community, and faith. In contrast to modern weddings that often highlight extravagance and romance, Amish couples mark their union in a more subtle yet significant manner. Likewise, the marriage customs of the Banyan Koli tribe also showcase deep cultural values and community connections, offering a distinct viewpoint on marital traditions. Unlike the usual honeymoon that take couples to fancy places, Amish newlyweds generally spend their first night as a married couple at the bride's parents' house. This custom illustrates the strong community ties within Amish society. Family and friends of the couple often stay late into the night, assisting with cleanup and keeping the celebration going. Amish weddings are recognized for their simplicity, and the wedding night is no different. There are no lavish decorations, champagne toasts, or complex rituals. Instead, the emphasis is on the couple's dedication to one another and their new life together. While some modern couples might find this unusual, Amish newlyweds frequently do not have a private room on their wedding night. It is common for them to share a room with other family members or guests. This practice reinforces the notion that marriage is not solely about the couple, but also about their integration into the broader community. The day after the wedding usually brings even more celebrations and fun activities. Guests often come together for a big breakfast or brunch, and there could be extra games, singing, or other types of entertainment. The couple is expected to join in these activities, which help strengthen their bond with the community. The Amish wedding night signifies the start of a new chapter for the couple. They are now anticipated to take on the duties of married life, which often means starting a family and helping out in the community. Although the change might not be as intense as in other cultures, it's still a major milestone in their lives. Amish wedding night customs may appear strange to those not part of the community, but they provide a special view on marriage and community. But apart from the weddings, our Amish way of life that still remains a mystery to the outside world. The Amish way of life. The Amish way of life is guided by the ordnung, which means rules. This set of rules can vary a bit from one community to another, and even within different areas of the same community. There isn't a central authority that governs all Amish people. Each community makes its own choices, so what might be okay in one place could be frowned upon in another. The ordnung is established or modified by all baptized members of the community before communion, which happens twice a year. The gathering where they talk about the ordnung is called Ordnungsgemeinde in Standard German and Ordnungsgimme in Pennsylvania Dutch. The ordnung covers various topics like clothing, acceptable technology use, religious obligations, and how to interact with outsiders. Interestingly, women also have a say in these discussions and can vote on matters related to the ordnung. Having children, raising them, and connecting with neighbors and family are the most important roles of an Amish family. They generally see large families as a gift from God. Families that farm usually have more children because they need sons to help with the work. Community plays a vital role in the Amish lifestyle. Hard work is viewed as a virtue, and some new technologies are seen as negative because they lessen the need for hard labor. For example, machines like automatic barn cleaners have often been turned down since they give young farm workers too much free time. Amish groups are famous for using horse and buggy for travel because they believe it encourages a slower way of living. However, many Amish communities do permit riding in motor vehicles like buses and cars. They can also take trains. Lately, a lot of Amish people have started using electric bicycles since they are quicker than walking or getting a horse and buggy ready. The Amish are recognized for their simple clothing. Men typically wear solid-colored shirts, wide-brimmed hats, and suits that reflect their uniformity. Amish men grow beards to represent manhood and marital status, as well as to encourage humility. They are not allowed to grow mustaches because mustaches are associated with the military, which they oppose due to their pacifist beliefs. Women follow similar dress codes, which are outlined in the Ordnung, the Amish's version of rules. They are required to wear calf-length dresses in muted colors, along with bonnets and aprons. Women wear prayer caps and bonnets as a visible sign of their faith, and to foster unity, as every woman wears one. The color of the bonnet indicates a woman's marital status. Single women wear black bonnets, while married women wear white. This color distinction is significant because women are prohibited from wearing jewelry like wedding rings, as it is viewed as drawing attention to oneself, which could lead to pride. All clothing is handmade, but how the garment is fastened largely depends on whether the person is part of the New Order or Old Order Amish. The Old Order Amish rarely, if ever, use buttons since they consider them too flashy. Instead, they prefer the hook and eye method or metal snaps for their clothing. On the other hand, the New Order Amish are a bit more modern and permit the use of buttons to enhance their outfits. Amish food is known for its simplicity and traditional nature. Food is a significant aspect of Amish social life and is served at potlucks, weddings, fundraisers, farewells, and various other gatherings. Many Amish foods can be found at markets such as pies, preserves, bread mixes, pickled items, desserts, and canned goods. Additionally, several Amish communities have opened restaurants for visitors. The amount of meat consumed by the Amish is similar to the American average, although they tend to eat more preserved meats. Amish cuisine is often confused with the similar food of the Pennsylvania Dutch, which has some ethnographic and regional differences, as well as variations in what cookbook authors and food historians highlight about the traditional food practices and the intertwined religious culture and celebrations of Amish communities. While there are many myths surrounding the origins of shoofly, food anthropologists emphasize that the culinary traditions of the Pennsylvania Dutch and Amish are creative and evolving, changing over time and across different regions, and that not all Pennsylvania Dutch people are Amish, nor do all Amish reside in Pennsylvania. To separate local myths from culinary truths, dedicated anthropological field studies are combined with research from literary sources, typically including newspaper archives, diaries, and household records. Amish communities experience higher rates of certain conditions, such as dwarfism, Angelman syndrome, and various metabolic disorders, along with a unique distribution of blood types. The Amish consist of various demes or genetically isolated groups. While they do not have a higher rate of genetic disorders compared to the general population, the fact that nearly all Amish people descend from a few hundred founders from the 18th century means that some recessive conditions are more common. This is known as the founder effect. Some of these disorders are rare or one of a kind, and they can significantly raise the mortality rate among Amish children. The Amish understand the benefits of marrying outside their communities, but for religious reasons, they choose to marry only within their own groups. Most Amish view these conditions as Gautas Vila, God's will. They do not support the use of preventive genetic tests before marriage or testing unborn children for genetic disorders. When a child is born with a disorder, they are welcomed into the community and given chores that they can handle. Nevertheless, the Amish are open to participating in research on genetic diseases. Their detailed family histories provide valuable information for researchers studying conditions like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and macular degeneration. Although the Amish face a higher risk of certain genetic disorders, studies show that their clean lifestyle can actually contribute to better health. The overall cancer rates among the Amish are lower, with tobacco-related cancers in Amish adults being 37% and non-tobacco-related cancers at 72% of the rates found in Ohio adults. Interestingly, skin cancer rates are also lower among the Amish, despite many of them working outdoors where they get a lot of sun exposure. They usually protect themselves by wearing wide-brimmed hats and long sleeves to shield their skin. The Clinic for Special Children in Strasburg, Pennsylvania, is dedicated to treating genetic issues and has created effective therapies for conditions like maple syrup urine disease, which was once fatal. Most Amish families support the clinic, which means parents don't have to leave their community to find proper care for their kids, avoiding the risk of being shunned. Another facility, the DDC Clinic for Special Needs Children in Middlefield, Ohio, focuses on children with inherited or metabolic disorders. The DDC Clinic offers treatment, research, and educational resources for both Amish and non-Amish children and their families. People's Helpers is a network of mental health caregivers organized by the Amish, aimed at assisting families facing mental health issues and suggesting professional counselors. Self-harm rates among the Amish are roughly half of those in the general population. Typically, the Old Order Amish do not have private commercial health insurance. A few American hospitals began special outreach programs in the mid-1990s to support the Amish. In certain Amish communities, the church collects funds from its members to help cover the medical expenses of others. While outsiders often think the Amish reject all modern technology, that's not entirely true. Amish communities do use modern medicine, including hospital births and advanced treatments. Since they lack health insurance and pay for services up front, many Amish individuals travel to Mexico for non-urgent medical care and surgeries to save money. Amish families usually have many children, not due to a lack of birth control, but because of their beliefs and the practicality of large families in farming communities. When comparing the number of children in various communities, it becomes evident that some Amish practice a form of family planning, although this topic is rarely discussed among them. The size of families tends to increase with the conservatism of the congregation. The more conservative the group, the more children they tend to have. Some communities do allow women whose health might be at risk from childbirth to access birth control. The Amish oppose abortion and also view practices like artificial insemination, genetics, eugenics, and stem cell research as inconsistent with their values and beliefs. As time has gone by, the Amish have experienced pressures from the modern world. They face challenges in areas like taxation, education, law enforcement, and sometimes discrimination and hostility. The lifestyle of the modern world has increasingly strayed from that of the Amish. This has occasionally led to instances of discrimination and hostility from their neighbors, including throwing stones or other objects at Amish horse-drawn carriages on the roads. Typically, the Amish do not educate their children beyond the 8th grade, as they believe that the basic knowledge provided up to that point is enough to prepare them for the Amish way of life. Very few Amish attend high school or college. In many areas, the Amish run their own schools, which are usually one-room schoolhouses with teachers, often young, unmarried women from the Amish community. On May 19, 1972, Jonas Joder and Wallace Miller from the Old Order Amish, along with Aidan Yutzi from the conservative Amish Mennonite Church were fined $5 each for refusing to send their children, who were 14 and 15 years old, to high school. In the case of Wisconsin versus Yoder in 1972, the Wisconsin Supreme Court overturned the conviction, and the U.S. Supreme Court upheld this decision, concluding that the advantages of universal education did not provide enough justification to override the protections under the Free Exercise Clause of the First Amendment. The Amish are subject to sales and property taxes. As they seldom own motor vehicles, they rarely have occasion to pay motor vehicle registration fees or spend money on the purchase of fuel for vehicles. Under their beliefs and traditions, generally the Amish do not agree with the idea of Social Security benefits and have a religious objection to insurance. On this basis, the United States Internal Revenue Service agreed in 1961 that they did not need to pay Social Security-related taxes. In 1965, this policy was codified into law. Self-employed individuals in certain sects do not pay into or receive benefits from the United States Social Security system. This exemption applies to a religious group that is conscientiously opposed to accepting benefits of any private or public insurance, provides a reasonable level of living for its dependent members, and has existed continuously since December 31st. The U.S. Supreme Court clarified in 1982 that Amish employers are not exempt, but only those Amish individuals who are self-employed. Two important ideas to grasp Amish customs are their refusal of hochmut, which means pride, arrogance, or haughtiness, and the significant importance they give to damit, humility, and Gelassenheit, which means calmness, composure, or placidity, often interpreted as submission or letting be. Gelassenheit can be better understood as a hesitance to be assertive, self-promoting, or to push oneself forward. The Amish's readiness to submit to the will of Jesus, shown through their community standards, contrasts sharply with the individualism that is so important in broader American society. This anti-individualist stance is why the Amish turned down labor-saving technologies that could make them less reliant on their community. Modern advancements like electricity could lead to competition for status symbols, and photographs might encourage personal vanity. Using electric power lines would contradict the Bible, which states that you should not be conformed to the world in Romans 12, verse 2. Amish church membership starts with baptism, which typically happens between the ages of 16 and 23. This baptism is necessary for anyone wanting to marry within the Amish community. After being baptized, individuals can only marry others who are also part of the faith. Each church district consists of 20 to 40 families, and they hold worship services every other Sunday at a member's home or barn. The district is overseen by a bishop, along with several ministers and deacons, who are selected through a mix of voting and kleromancy, also known as drawing lots. The church's rules, known as the Ordnung, vary somewhat between districts and are reviewed by all church members twice a year. The Lord's Supper is only held if every member agrees to it. The Ordnung must be followed by all members and includes many guidelines for daily life, such as restrictions on using power line electricity, telephones, and cars, as well as rules about clothing. As modern Anabaptists, Amish church members practice non-resistance and do not engage in military service. They cherish rural living, hard work, humility, and Gelassenheit, all while striving to live according to what they believe is God's Word. Members who don't follow these community rules and can't be persuaded to change their ways risk being excommunicated and shunned. The ways of shunning differ among various communities. On average, around 85% of Amish teenagers decide to get baptized and become part of the church. During a teenage phase known as Rumspringer, which means running around in Pennsylvania German, in some communities, behaviors that would lead to an adult being shunned after baptism might be tolerated to some extent. Rosianna's exit from the Amish community. Rosanna Miller made her debut on Return to Amish during the 6th season in 2021. She grew up in a family that was very committed to the old order Amish way of life, with parents who are deeply dedicated to maintaining their community's values. Because of their strong beliefs, they expected Rosanna to follow in their footsteps. However, Rosanna desires to succeed on her own without outside influences, and being part of her community limits her ability to do so. Therefore, she chooses to explore a life free from bias or preconceived ideas. Her participation in the show indicates her wish for greater independence and the chance to experience new things. Rosanna aims to live life according to her own rules, which is a big reason why she left her community. At that time, she was thinking about leaving the Amish way of life and took a trip to Florida to experience what life was like outside the bubble she had grown up in. Even though she was eager to begin a new life in the English world, she ended up dating Johnny, who is still Amish, and he was more uncertain about leaving. Rosanna and Johnny got together sometime after Season 6 was filmed, and he appeared on the show in Season 7, which aired earlier this year. Their storyline focused on their differing feelings about leaving the Amish lifestyle. In the end, Johnny decided to leave with Rosanna, and now they are living a more modern life. They welcomed their daughter, Clara, on March 2022, and Rosanna mentioned that they plan to raise her in the English world. The couple no longer wears their traditional Amish clothes, but Rosanna shared that she still keeps in touch with her family in Pennsylvania. Rosanna Miller and Johnny Detweiler's relationship was heavily criticized by the Amish community, especially because of their premarital intimacy and Rosanna's pregnancy, which was against the Irish way of life. But how did Amish come to exist? The story behind it will leave you stunned how the Amish community was formed. The Amish are a group of traditional Anabaptist Christian church communities that have their roots in Switzerland and Alsace. Because they keep a certain distance from the people around them and share their beliefs, some scholars have referred to the Amish as an ethno-religious group, which means they blend aspects of both an ethnicity and a Christian denomination. The Amish are closely related to Old Order Mennonites and Conservative Mennonites, which are also part of Anabaptist Christianity. They are recognized for their simple lifestyle, plain clothing, commitment to Christian pacifism, and their reluctance to embrace many modern technologies. This is to ensure that family time is not disrupted and to encourage face-to-face conversations whenever possible, while also aiming for self-sufficiency. The Amish place a high value on rural living, hard work, humility, and submission to God's will. The Amish church started from a split in Switzerland among a group of Swiss and Alsatian Mennonite Anabaptists in 1693, led by Jacob Amann. Those who chose to follow Amann became known as the Amish. In the later part of the 19th century, the Amish split into two groups, the Old Order Amish and the Amish Mennonites. The Amish Mennonites do not avoid using cars, while the Old Order Amish have kept a lot of their traditional ways. When people talk about the Amish today, they usually mean the Old Order Amish. But there are other groups of Amish as well, like the New Order Amish and the Beachy Amish. All of these groups wear simple clothing and live according to the Bible as outlined in their church's Ordnung. The Old Order Amish and New Order Amish hold their services in German, speak Pennsylvania Dutch, and use buggies for getting around. In contrast, the Beachy Amish embrace modern technology, including cars, and hold services in the local language of their community. Both the New Order Amish and the Beachy Amish focus on the new birth, work to convert others, and have Sunday schools. In the early 1700s, a lot of Amish and Mennonites moved to Pennsylvania for different reasons. Most of the Old Order Amish, New Order Amish, and the Old Beachy Amish speak Pennsylvania Dutch, while the Swiss Amish in Indiana speak enigmatic dialects. As of 2024, the Amish population has exceeded 400,000, with around 395,000 Old Order Amish in the United States and over 6,000 in Canada, showing a rapid growth. Amish church groups aim to keep a certain distance from the non-Amish community. Non-Amish individuals are usually called English by the Amish, and outside influences are often labeled as worldly. Membership in the Amish church starts with adult baptism, which typically happens between the ages of 16 and 23. Each church district consists of 20 to 40 families, and Old Order Amish and New Order Amish hold their worship services every other Sunday in a member's home or barn, while the Beachy Amish gather every Sunday in churches. The church rules, known as the Ordnung, vary slightly between districts and are reviewed by all church members twice a year. Every member must follow the Ordnung, which includes many rules about daily life for the Old Order Amish, such as restrictions on using power line electricity, telephones, and cars, as well as guidelines on clothing. There is a strong focus on church and family ties. The Old Order Amish usually run their own one-room schools and stop formal education after 8th grade. Most Amish do not purchase commercial insurance or take part in Social Security. As modern Anabaptists, Amish church members believe in non-resistance and do not engage in any military service. The word Amish was initially used as a shandanam, a term of disgrace, in 1710 by those against Jacob Amann, who was an Anabaptist leader. The first unofficial split among the Swiss Brethren happened in the 17th century, dividing them into Oberländers, people living in the hills, and Emmentahlers, those from the Emmental region. The Oberländers were a more radical group. Their passion led them to settle in more isolated areas. From this point on, Swiss Anabaptism evolved in two separate directions, mainly due to disagreements about how to treat fallen believers. The Emmentahlers, sometimes called Reistians, named after their bishop Hans Reist, a prominent leader among them, believed that fallen believers should only be excluded from communion, but not from regular meals. In contrast, the Amish felt that those who were banned should be avoided even during shared meals. Eventually, the Reistian perspective laid the groundwork for the Swiss Mennonite Conference. Because of their shared history, Amish and conservative Mennonites from southern Germany and Switzerland have many things in common. People who leave the Amish community often end up joining different groups of conservative Mennonites. The Amish started moving to Pennsylvania in the early 18th century because it was seen as a good place with no religious persecution and good land deals. This migration was part of a bigger movement from the Palatinate and nearby areas. Between 1717 and 1750, about 500 Amish people came to North America, mostly settling in what is now Berks County, Pennsylvania. However, they later relocated due to land problems and safety concerns related to the French and Indian War. Many of them ended up in Lancaster County. Then, in the mid-19th century, a second group of around 1,500 Amish arrived, primarily settling in Ohio, Illinois, Iowa, and southern Ontario. Most of these later immigrants did not join the Old Order Amish, but instead became part of more liberal groups. Estimating the number of Amish people is tough because they typically get baptized at 18 or older, and kids aren't included in local congregation counts. From 1992 to 2008, the Amish population in North America grew by 84%, which is about 3.6% each year. During this period, they set up 184 new settlements and expanded into 6 new states. In 2000, there were around 165,620 Old Order Amish living in the U.S., with 73,009 being church members. The Amish are one of the fastest-growing groups globally, averaging 7 children per family in the 1970s and having a total fertility rate of 5.3 in the 2010s. In 2010, some religious groups, including the Amish, updated how they reported their members to align better with the standards of the Association of Statisticians of American Religious Bodies. When considering all Amish followers, not just the Old Order Amish, there were about 241,000 Amish adherents across 28 U.S. states in 2010. By 2024, the Amish had gained 100,000 more adherents in just 9 years, reaching a total of 401,000 compared to 300,000 in 2015. During this time, the number of settlements increased from 501 to 675, which is a 35% rise, and the number of districts grew from 2,093 to 3,039. The United States is home to the vast majority of Amish people, with over 98% residing there. As of 2024, Old Order communities can be found in 32 states across the U.S. The total Amish population in the country reached 394,120 in June 2020, Ohio and Indiana as of June 2024, the large or 4.6% from the previous year. Pennsylvania has the highest number of Amish residents, followed by Ohio and Indiana as of June 2024. The largest Amish communities are located in Lancaster County in southeastern Pennsylvania, Holmes County, and nearby areas in northeastern Ohio, and Elkhart and LaGrange counties in northeastern Indiana as of June 2024. The highest concentration of Amish people in the world is found in the Holmes County community, where nearly 50% of the population was Amish as of 2010. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.